worst, these 20 villagers came here to the church looking for safety and protection. However, the royalist troops approached, and before long they took control of the church. As part of my filming, I've flown aerial drones around and high above the churches of Cheshire, revealing not only the beauty of the buildings themselves, but also the landscape that they stand in. The first entry records that one Thomas Hoff died on the 13th of March 1592 at the age of 141 years old. That's correct, 141. He was followed the next day by Randall Wall, who was a sprightly 103. Well, if you wanted a long and fruitful life in centuries past, then it seems to me that Frodsham is the place to be. I can't wait to be able to reveal the history of this stunning site and its medieval past. And I also can't wait to take you inside the church and show you the stone and alabaster tombs of the Mannering family, with some dating back to as early as 1410. It was here between the years of 1525 to 1528 that Mary Tudor spent 3 winters here at Ludlow Castle. Behind me stands Stokesay Castle, one of the finest fortified houses in England, and you find it here in the village of Stokesay in Shropshire. Well, I have to say the last 3 days here in Shropshire have been a wonderful journey back into history, visiting St Lawrence's Church in Ludlow, Ludlow Castle, and today here at Stokesay Castle and the Church of St John the Baptist. Why not join me again soon as we take more travels across England to look at the history that surrounds us. The Norman chapel served as a place of worship for the vast parish of Prestbury until after the Magna Carta and the death of King John. Well, Wimbury is certainly an unusual place and well worth a visit. Why not join me again soon when we take yet another history walk? As with many churches that I visit and film today, most churches, and especially St Oswald's, has been built and created over many centuries. My name's James Balme and I'm a writer, history presenter and the history columnist for Cheshire Life magazine. years ago when I was doing quite a bit of TV on North West Night and Granada Reports, and I even did some time team presenting one programme with Tony Robinson, and I got involved with a chap at the BBC who'd been a really big producer and director, and he said to me at that time, don't keep chasing for TV work through an agent, and don't keep chasing TV work. The future is the internet, and YouTube will be the biggest. And all these years later, he's absolutely correct. Yeah, I mean, I cover all of Cheshire now, and last year I also became involved with the National Churches Trust and the Explore Churches website, and they've started to use all my films, the films that I'm making about the churches in Cheshire. So I'm always out looking for new history stories and new history films to make, but I'd like to find more in Warrington. I've done quite a few in Warrington. I did St Elphin's recently, and I did a story about the 13th Baron of Warrington, where we went to the Busey Old Hall, then we came back to St Elphin's, and I went into the church and I presented some history about the statues within the church. Well, what a great honour and a privilege to finally be stood here at the tomb of the 13th Baron of Warrington. For here is the final resting place of Sir John Le Boteler and his wife, Lady Margaret Gerard from Kingsley. I've been researching history now for 20 or 30 years, so I've got a pretty good grip on what's going on in the area, but it's surprising that you do suddenly come across something you think, I didn't even know about that, and you just get into there, do the research, and you start finding out more information, and quite often a great story can come out of that too. Most of my work really is anywhere across the whole of Cheshire, so I'm going as far as Macclesfield, Poynton, Stockport, up into the hills, because there's history everywhere, and with churches especially, there's so many churches of the ancient churches that happen to be out near Macclesfield or Wilmslow and those sort of places, but each church and each building has a link back to one of the others as well. I think my fondest memory is a bit cliche, but it has to be when I did time team with Baldrick, Tony Robinson. Great 3 or 4 days, but I can tell you now it doesn't take 3 days. By the time they've arrived and by the time they left, it's about 6 days. But it's really good because when I did time team, a lot of people think, oh my God, here's the time team, and they sit in the corner. They're all inclusive, so I was part of the team for 3 or 4 days. The funniest thing that happened during that is we arrived for filming on the Sunday, and we weren't actually doing any filming on the Sunday, and it was right near the Saracen's Head pub just over Warburton Toll Bridge, and the director said, well, come on, we'll all go for lunch. So they all marched into the Saracen's Head at Sunday lunch, and you could physically hear knives and forks dropping on the plates because people were like, what's going on? Well, when I started doing the film career, I started with cameras using the bigger videotapes. Then we went down to the small mini DV tapes, which was wonderful. You thought this was great. And then when you get home and you realise you've got to literally download that tape to the computers at the speed of the tape. So if you got a 2-hour film, you had to spend 2 hours getting that footage over to the computer. Nowadays, it's with mine especially, you plug the microchip in, the memory card, you've transferred an hour's film in 20 seconds. So the speed has increased. The ability to do more on your own. I even use a drone, a professional drone. So if I go out to film, say for instance, an ancient church, I can present outside with the cameras about the church and then get the drone in the air, and I'm filming all around the church through the steeples, along the sides in 4K video. And again, that just downloads straight to the computers. So I can do all the presenting, filming and post-edit myself. getting cheaper and cheaper. I was very lucky actually to get the drone. A gentleman got it for a retirement present, had a couple of flights with it, decided he was bored of it, so I realised how much it was worth, and he was looking for pennies, really was looking for pennies for it. But I agreed a fair price, and I took the drones off his hands, and it's just revolutionised the films that I'm making. License for a year for a drone is a throbbing £9 a year. It's not, is it? And what it is that you're really just getting a license to fly. It's the cost of the drones themselves that's sort of the bit you've got to get over to start with. The funniest stories really are when you're presenting in really tricky areas. For instance, I was presenting 6 weeks ago on an embankment, a steep embankment, and I was doing really well getting into the piece and talking about it, and I could feel my feet move. And then when you look back on camera, I'm there talking, and I went whoosh, and I slid all the way down to the hill to the bottom. So the children were with me. One came running up and said, "What's going on? What's happened? You've not squashed the sandwiches, have you?" So there's so many things because you're out there on your own. What I do is I keep all the outtakes, and every so often I do actually do "It Didn't Go Right on the Night," and people seem to love that as well. I think one of the favourites was where I went last week, which was to Ludlow Castle, because that's an English heritage castle and one of the biggest ones in Shropshire. It was abandoned, there was nobody there, so I had the whole castle for half a day to just wander around taking shots and filming and getting the atmosphere needed. So it's great to go to these ancient buildings that you know have got history going back over 1,000 years. I covered all the Middlewich festivals, which was for the Romans, the Normans and Saxons, and these festivals were actually on the field at Middlewich, and they would have reenactment battles and the army and everything, and they were done between 2000 and 2010, and they're all still available to watch to this day on my channel. But Middlewich Museum and the libraries also have the films on special machines, so anyone going in can actually go to the reference library, press a button and watch the film as well.